In fact, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay. Um, for me tonight, I'm going to be breaking down the future of yield in crypto, Bitcoin powered mortgages to DeFi lending giants, and finally, how you can turn your crypto into ongoing income. This is about power, cash flow, and freedom. And what do you got,
Now,
brother?
that's something I can get behind. Have my crypto work for me. I'm all for it.
All you need is a
I'm going to be
house.
covering, yeah, that is true. I'll be covering some small things about like maybe having a small food forest in your backyard and why it's absolutely necessary. If you have the space, of course. If you don't have the space, well, then you're gonna, you're at the mercy of the grocery store. And also some,
Truly.
I think that that I think will branch off to things I don't need to cover anything else. I have other things, but I don't think we'll probably get to them. So there's so many different facets of why you should be growing as much as you can on your own. Um, that we should cover it. But the crypto thing, I'm so interested in DeFi and all those other things because the practical applications of crypto is it's a way out. It's a way to freedom.
In theory, if it lives up to its claims or the hype, it's going to be to abundance. I routinely hear people say that by 2035, so in 10 years, Bitcoin will be worth $10 million a coin in today's money, not adjusting for inflation. And so that's insane. I mean, it hasn't really taken off so far. I mean, it's up a little bit, but it typically by this time in a typical cycle, we are seeing usually explosive growth at this point. And we're really not. It's kind of creeping up, stair stepping up, and I think that is twofold. I think one, there is some headwinds, and that is affecting things with tariffs and kind of the economic reset, uh, pretty high interest rates, and the job market hasn't come around. So people are not getting that wealth effect feeling. Things seem to be moving in the right direction, but it's not hitting Joe average yet. Um, and so, but I also suspect that we might be looking at our what has been called the super cycle, where the cycles don't have a 4 year cycle anymore. That they go into an adoption curve, an S curve, and we've been in the elbow of it for some time, and it's where right now 10% of the population holds 90 or 80, 90% of the crypto, and then the rest of the world comes in, and that should essentially crypto goes from a $2 trillion a year, I mean a year, $2 trillion asset to a 50 or 100 trillion asset, and that S curve is where it's like when the everybody adopts the internet, or everybody starts using electricity. For a long time nothing happens, and I think we're at the point where something is going to happen, and that has been labeled the super cycle, where that's period of time which could go on for 10 or 12 years, several cycles, where it just doesn't really have a major pullback like we've seen in crypto. There's a 4 year cycle, and every fourth year there's a 80-90% drawdown, and then the cycle repeats. And so a super cycle would have drawdowns, but they might be 20 or 30% instead, and then just take off again. And there's no 1 year of it sucking, and that's great if you've gotten in. If you haven't gotten in and you're waiting to get in, and that starts to happen, and it never has another drawdown, it's hard to get in. And so more of a full overview of what I'm going to be talking about is I've got three stories all tied to yield. The first is a company that I discovered this week called the People's Reserve. It's a Bitcoin powered mortgage company, and I their website is thepeoplesreserve.com. And so you can take a look at that. And that's a Bitcoin powered mortgage and bond platform that claims it can outpace inflation and deliver real world savings. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is the OG DeFi lending platforms, Aave and Compound, and how you can loan out your crypto for yield, where what's the advantages and disadvantages of each platform. And third, I'll be talking about how people can turn crypto into streams of income by buying, I guess, basically getting loans from these companies, and instead of selling your crypto, you might take out a loan and buy crypto. So those are the three things that I'll be covering. Do you want me to go first, or?
Oh, what I'd like to say too is that when people are investing, staking Bitcoin or some other alt currency, or Ethereum or whatever, what they're not taking into consideration, they say they're paying 7% to 10% a year. That's 7% to 10% of that asset. And if that asset doubles in that time, they're paying you 20% in cash dollars, in US dollars.
Right.
So that's something to always consider. Oh, it's only 7%, but it's 7% of an asset that's continuously appreciating over time.
Yes.
And,
If it's an asset that goes up 300% and then you're getting 10% more of it a year, it's a pretty good deal. It's definitely outpacing 7% inflation. So yes, valid point. And there are strategies. I haven't tried them. You're taking on a lot of risk, but there are strategies where these certain platforms are paying 60-70% yield. Obviously, you're taking a lot of risk when you do that, but it's certainly possible. And if you're doing it with a small portion of your money, it might be worth it. I mean, I wouldn't do that with everything. So the first story I have is there's this guy, and I'm probably going to butcher his name. It's CJ Constantino, founder of the People's Reserve, which is the name of the company he has, and to merge Bitcoin with the traditional finance system. Their products include Bitcoin-powered mortgages, Bitcoin bonds, which is structured as a principal protection note, and ways to unlock and tap equity in real estate. Unlike BlockFi or Celsius, they avoid hypothetical. They avoid rehypothecation and focus on everyday savers. So they completely outlawed rehypothecation in their platform, which is what everybody else is doing, and I think an important distinction. Not just okay, I lost my. And they're focusing on everyday savers, not just institutions. By fusing Bitcoin with traditional finance products, they are arguing they're building the safest, highest yielding cash flow vehicles in the world. And so, yeah, that's them. And I we'll talk a little bit about what they're doing. They're a pretty new company, but I've seen them floating around now on several podcasts, and so I thought it would be worth talking about some of their things. So the founder, CJ, has been in Bitcoin since 2013, in and out of it like many people. Their platform focuses on Bitcoin as pristine collateral, as the highest form of collateral. Products include a Bitcoin-powered mortgage and Bitcoin bonds. And so the bond mix is U.S. Treasuries plus Bitcoin for principal protection. So, as an example, if you gave them $1 million, it's a 80-20 mixture of treasuries and Bitcoin. So you get 80% treasuries and 20% Bitcoin. So in the case of this $1 million investment vehicle, you would have 800,000 K in treasuries, which is paying a yield, and you get 200,000 in Bitcoin. I mean, if you scale that down to 10K, that would be 8,000 in treasuries and 2,000 in Bitcoin. And so the idea there is as it's maturing, you're getting paid out the bond yield, and then at the end of that, you have purchased however much Bitcoin, and you get to keep the Bitcoin that you purchased in the bond. Plus, you're getting paid, every 6 months, every year, however the bond is structured. So that you're getting a monthly, or I mean, biannually, let's say, payout, plus you're getting savings. I mean, more than likely, you're going to walk away if I don't know how long the bonds are for, let's say it's 5 years, you're probably going to see 4 or 5x. So you're going to have, you put in, let's say, $1 million, you might exit with $1 million worth of Bitcoin at the end of that, and you still got paid out. And I don't fully understand, everything that they're doing here. I've only seen a few videos, and their website isn't, hyper detailed. So, but even if Bitcoin went to zero, which it's never going to go, you still get the principal is return. So you get your 800K plus your percentage plus your Bitcoin. It seems pretty square deal. But if Bitcoin performs, investors capture the upside while still earning a yield, which we just talked about. They also have a mortgage product, which, if I understand them correctly, if you own your house outright, they will give you a equity loan for the value stated on, and basically you put in your address. Whatever the government says your house is worth, they will give you an equity loan to buy crypto with. So let's say your house is 400K, according to your tax rolls. You can go in and basically go in here, and if you own your house, you can use your house as collateral to take out 400K in Bitcoin. And it's a self.
Then they hold the Bitcoin, or you can just.
I think you hold the Bitcoin, or they may hold it until the end of the loan, or at least a portion of it, and the loan is paid out of the Bitcoin that they're holding, and so you're not making any payments. And then when the loan is paid back, you keep the residual. So mortgage products let holders unlock Bitcoin without selling their house. It has a adjustable rate, reducing liquidation risks. And so if there is, how they explained it in the video is, let's say, and they have very competitive rates. They're not high rates. You can get rates even right now where the mortgage rate is roughly 7%. They're offering 3.5%. That's low for. So there's a lot of things you can do with that. But one of the things when you get a loan from one of these other types of companies, if the price goes down a lot, you get liquidated and your loan is due. What they're saying is they don't liquidate you; they just raise your interest rate until So if for a year you're underwater, you just pay a higher interest rate year to year. And then if it goes up, way up, they say, let's say you're at 3%, and it doubles in price, your crypto, your interest rate would go down to up. It would be reduced, by as much as 2%. So you could be at 1.5% on your mortgage if the crypto you had gone up sufficiently. So if you bought at a pullback and which is what you would want to do, you would want to wait for a major pullback, and then you finance call in this crypto loan, and then wait for it to go up. Tony's already there, but you go to peoplesreserve.com. You can create an account. There's a series of various types of products that you can choose. There is their mortgage. There is what they call HEBlock, or you can have a Bitcoin bond, real world asset equity, vehicle. And so there's a lot of things you can do with this site. I admit I haven't done a tremendous amount of research on it, but I found it extremely intriguing, and I thought that you guys might like it. If you either have a house and you want to get crypto, or you have crypto and you want to get a house, or somewhere in between, or you want to earn a yield, on your money, and you want to get some exposure to Bitcoin at the same time. You want reliable, yield that you get on a set schedule, and you want to also have a little bit of risk in there, and get in probably what these people believe, and I believe is the best asset in the world, which is Bitcoin. This is the ultimate property in the world, and a lot. I'm constantly talking to people, and they'll tell me, "Oh, I heard that I'm supposed to get into this crypto or that crypto, and to stay away from Bitcoin because drug dealers use it, or it's not a good vehicle."
They can use any crypto.
Well, it's just the opposite.
Well, I tell you what, don't use cash then, because drug dealers use it.
Right. And that's what I was going to say, but also I would say that it's not even remotely close. Stocks and bonds, gold, whatever it is, and I've been saying this, going on 11 years, is from my perspective, Bitcoin has always been the best vehicle to invest in if it worked out. And now we can definitively say it's working out. But the reason it's the best is because bears over chats just in case. The reason I say it's the best is because there is no single party in the world that can print more of it. It can't. It's not even a single party. No one can print more of it. If you have it and you're saving in it, the government can't decide, "Hey, I'm going to devalue everyone's money." And grandma who saved $50,000 for a retirement isn't going to be devalued by the government trying to pay off its debts. There is nobody that can do that. The schedule for more of it coming out is set. It was set in the when it was created, and it's never going to change. And it's the most decentralized, and it's the hardest money ever invented. All the other cryptos have some sort of company behind them. They're not decentralized in the same way that Bitcoin is. Even if they get to the level that they're technically decentralized, there's some business behind them that can be targeted. There's some owner That's Ethereum. There's all these people. Ethereum's the second biggest crypto, and all these other cryptos out there are even more so. They have some point of failure that is a human being, and Bitcoin has no human beings. So throughout history, it's been human greed that has messed up everybody's money and messed up everyone's savings, and Bitcoin's the only one that's not the case. Anyways, so you've had some, you looked at it. What do you think?
I think that they have some great ideas. It's a little vague on the website right now, but I'm glad someone's undertaking this. I find that exciting. Uh,
Yeah, it's hard to
the
say if it's
platform,
legit.
yeah, they have a bunch of videos up there right now telling you what they're doing, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of usability in it right this minute.
I think I don't know if that's the case.
I haven't tried the wallet yet, and I need to. They that's one of the first things you need to do is to download their wallet, the
Right.
TPR wallet, and then see where it goes from there. Because when you look at the wallet, you can see exactly what their products are because they'll be integrated in a wallet. So a lot of them, at least I hope they
Yes.
are.
And
But
it,
have you downloaded their wallet yet?
no, I literally found this this week, and um no, I watched a couple of videos on it just to get an idea of what it was, and just enough to know what to talk about. Some examples that I guess I could give is if you invested 50 grand, the platform allocates 40 grand into treasuries, which we've already talked about, and 10 grand into Bitcoin. That's principal. The principal is protected, meaning you get the 40 grand back at the end, and the loan is paid off through the Bitcoin, and whatever the upside is, or I mean, I'm thinking the wrong thing. I'm reading two things. You get the Bitcoin, whatever the upside on the Bitcoin is at the end is what you capture. So you're getting paid a yield, you get your principal back, and in theory, you get your Bitcoin back. Um, the other thing that we talked briefly about is for homeowners, you type in, supposedly on the website, you type in your property address, and the system will pull the tax assessed value, letting you unlock, and it's automatic. If you have the house and it's in your name, you can unlock and tap the trapped equity without refinancing or risking ownership. For Bitcoin holders, if you deposit Bitcoin as collateral, instead of selling your coins, you can unlock the cash for spending while keeping your long-term exposure. I
So
I
basically,
don't
you're borrowing against it. You're doing like Elon Musk does. He borrows against the stock,
or Michael
and
Saylor.
that way, Michael Saylor, so that they never have to pay any taxes. Because if you're borrowing money from yourself, that's
You're not
not
paying
income.
taxes, right?
Mm.
Uh, it says that there is a loyalty tier system, which is used to reduce the borrowing rate. So basically, if how you're funding them is I guess their token funds their loans, and so if you commit money, so some use cases is buy a home without selling your Bitcoin, turn your fully paid off house into an income stream by unlocking the equity, protect savings with Bitcoin bonds that can't lose principal but still ride the Bitcoin gains, access borrowing as low as 3%. So,
That's not
um,
bad. That's not bad at all.
well, yeah, currently it's like 7%. So that's, I mean, it's below, they're actually funding things below the prime rate, or I mean, yeah, prime rate is 4.5%. or 4.25. Anyways, so that's it.
Okay. Well, I'd like to move on to something real quick. I think I should really
It better
talk
be
about
long.
this. And well, there is a lot of stuff in it. It can be long, but it depends how boring it is when it's long. So I'm gonna basically what I did is I put in one of the most important things we need to consider is our source of food and what we can do about it and how can we get clean food. There's many ways, but some people buy cow shares, like they go to a ranch and they find out there's grass-fed beef there, and they buy part of a cow, like half a cow share. But one of the things you can always do is put in perennial type trees and nut trees and bushes and vines in your yard, if you own your own yard. As little as a quarter of an acre and an eighth of an acre can more than grow enough food for you to eat, as far as vegetables and fruit and nuts go. I went and ran the numbers. This is for this is my zone 9B and 9A. I'm in North Florida.
I don't understand the zones.
Okay, there's hardiness zones that determine what plants you can grow in this zone. Certain plants require cold weather over the winter for them to flower in the spring. So, for example, most types of apples cannot grow in Florida, or only some peaches can, and mostly North Florida, and blueberries in North Florida, same thing in Central Florida. They require a certain amount of chill hours. A chill hour is just in the winter, if it's below 43 degrees, it's considered, for an hour, it's considered one chill hour. And for example, there's some apples that require 300 chill hours, 300 hours with a temperature below 40 degrees to grow these particular type of apples. And some things, for example, like some citrus, they do not respond well to frost. So growing in northern Florida is out of the question for them. So your hardiness zone determines what type of plants you can grow. Obviously, if you're in Central Florida, like my brother over there, you can grow most tropical plants. That includes pineapples, coconuts, citrus, bananas, and so on and so forth. All the exotic things is papaya, guavas, mangoes, all those things. But what this is for is northern Florida, because that's the location I'm at. And basically, by year 3, this is how quick, because basically you want to plant perennials or trees, like oranges, figs, peaches, persimmons, pomegranates, pecans, pistachios, blueberries, and grapes. Once you plant them, then for 20 years or so, you don't have to replace them. Some of them will last longer than that, but most won't. Like setup cost for a food forest is usually around $3,500 for a quarter acre. That's a big lot, a quarter acre, by the way. That's something with 30 trees in it. But if you have an eighth of an acre, then you have 15 trees, and you're talking $1,500. The problem is you're not really going to start making any money. You're not going to be making profit. In other words, it's not going to be cost effective till after year 3. So it'd have to be a long-term project. So that's the only downside, is that the first 3 years you'll just either be breaking even or actually losing a little bit of money. But by the time you get to year 4 or 5, you're going to be accumulating between $2,500 and $5,000 worth of produce a year. And by year 6, we're talking $20,000. And of course, you can't eat all of that. So you have to, maybe you want to barter with someone who has beef or chicken or whatever. But the reason you want those things, because then you know that it's clean. Organic food in a supermarket, they're very lax about how they determine whether it's organic or not. I think in most cases, the FDA is supposed to make your best effort to try to grow it organically and use organic seeds. If you can't, well, then you got to give your best effort to make it organic, whatever that means. And so the organic produce and organic food that you're eating in a supermarket doesn't mean it's non-GMO either. It just means that they grew it with natural fertilizers, such as cow manure or rock phosphate or something that is natural. It isn't made out of gunpowder like most fertilizers, basically gunpowder.
Delicious gunpowder.
Delicious gunpowder. That's what happened. After World War II, we had a bunch of munition factories. We turned them into fertilizer plants. And of course, they did a lot of polluting and everything too. But just because it says organic doesn't mean it's non-GMO. GMO means genetically modified, which means they inserted genes such as bugs, viruses, and other things into the plant to make it more resistant to pests. For example, one has a BT, which is a fungus inserted into the corn plant, which kills insects when they eat the plant. It also is very bad for us. It's like a Stachybotrys toxin in the corn. Stachybotrys is a very poisonous type of mold, and they think that's a good idea to put something in corn that actually kills insects. They're not spraying it on the corn. The corn makes it itself because they inserted this gene into it. They also spray it up. They make it Roundup ready, which means they can spray Roundup on it, and that's a cancer-causing agent, and it tears up your stomach and all sorts of things.
Yeah, but they don't have any way of making you Roundup ready.
No, we're not Roundup ready, none of us. But anyways, Roundup is not supposed to be used on organic plants anyways. But they can use BT corn, and they can use genetically modified sugar beets, and that has all sorts of similar type genes in them. And none of these genes are natural. In other words, a lot of these products, when you take them and put them on the shelves, they don't rot. And anything that doesn't rot, you can't digest. So what you want to do is get heirloom type, non-GMO trees and plants, and most of them are. And the reason you want perennials is that you plant them once and you just wait. You just keep giving them water and fertilize them, and then you just pick the fruit every year. Growing regular gardens.
How does somebody start? Let's say they're starting at year one, because I know you've done this. Do they just plant them in their yard, or?
I start them in a pot the first 2 years. I put it in a 5-gallon pot the first year. Most of the stuff you'll get from a nursery is grafted, and the graft that they took it from was from a plant that's already fruiting. If you grow from seed, it's going to take 5 years before it produces any fruit. So you want to get a grafted plant. What they do is they take a root stock, which is a very hardy root plant of the same type of, say an orange. They have a rootstock of a super resilient orange plant. It doesn't produce very good oranges, but it's resistant to cold and bugs. And they'll take a high-producing graft from another tree that's already producing oranges right now, and they graft it on there. And it becomes one plant. And, of course, the bottom half will be the graft, and the top half will be the scion that produces the fruit. And it will start probably producing flowers the first year. By the third year, you'll be producing quite a bit of fruit. So you don't want to go in, which I've done, grown things from seed. We grow things from seed. There's two problems with them. One, you don't know the quality of the fruit that it'll produce. And two, you're going to be waiting 5 to 6 years before you get any fruit. But and there's a lot of stuff out of the University of Florida now that is, for example, citrus that had a citrus greening problem that was killing. It still is killing all the orange plants in Florida. They have 2 different types of oranges now that are resistant to it. And one of them was planted back 50 years ago in some orchard in the University of Florida, and it's been sitting there for 50 years. and everything around it is died, and it's left there, and it's growing great, and it's 50 years old. So they're going, oh, this plant that we got 50 years ago, that was closer to being a native plant, what they call not an heirloom species, but a native species, whatever. It's not hybrid, and it's been there for 50 years. For some reason, it's resistant to these diseases, and also sugar bell is also resistant. So,
are most of the diseases because they have like some sort of fungus? Because that's what always got everything around my house is when it would get wet, everything would get black mold growing in it and it would die.
yes, and that part of that is plant immunity, and the what type of plants you talking about specifically?
All my
Do you
plants,
know?
all of them. So like not just you planted because a lot of the plants were planted by you. I had pineapples. The banana trees never had any issues, but then all of my regular bushes, like I had hibiscus and just regular bushes of various like typical bushes that you plant around a house in Central Florida, and midsummer, during the peak rainy season, it would just start. I could smell. I go outside and I have mold allergies, and my sinuses would seize up in about 10 minutes.
Hibiscus is usually insects attack them once you don't give it enough fertilizer. If they don't have enough fertilizer, because they grow fast, uh, if they're not constantly blooming flowers, then they're unhealthy. Hibiscus just produce tons of flowers. They're not producing flowers, and they need fertilizer. Once they become weak, then insects attack, and then mold attacks.
No,
I've
this
had that
was
happen many times.
these would be producing flowers and everything would be fine, and then all of a sudden, black mold would appear on all of the leaves, and
That
it was
sounds
every
like
plant. My oak trees
it
would get
sounds like you're
it.
being tacked. You mean oak trees would get it?
Everything would
Oh,
get it.
okay. I don't know what to say. I've never really seen that before.
It
Were
happened.
you using some?
You've seen it.
Did
You've
they
seen it
come
at my
back?
house. You live. Yeah, it
Did
would
they
come
come
back.
back?
It would come back as soon as it dried out.
A lot of times when you have a lot of rain, uh, it is not getting enough nutrients. It's just getting water, and it makes them weak and susceptible to mold. It's not as the rainy season. I mean, it's humid all the time in Florida for 6 months out of the year. You get up in the morning, everything's wet. So if it's that particular time of year, it's just because you got so much rain, it's washing all the nutrients out of the soil. Um, when it's raining a little less, even though it's still humid, the plant has more nutrients. Believe it or not. Not every the grass keeps growing because you're cutting it, and it's self mulching, and it's rotting, and it's producing compost for itself. Um, but the hibiscus, they actually need compost every year to be thrown around them. And by the end of the year, if the compost is gone, they get sick. Um, I have one right now that's doing that. It's turning yellow, and it's getting spots on it, and it's because I don't have enough nutrients in the soil. I need to transplant it and put it in because it's in a pot, and it's just eating all the soil. No matter how much fertilizer I throw on it now, it's not healthy.
Hmm.
Um,
Anyway, sorry to get you off track.
anyways, so what we're looking at is is a long term commitment. They said by the time you get to year 10, which to me goes by in just a finger snap now, you're talking about getting between $3,000 and $4,500 worth of food on your little teeny lot every year, and the great thing about it is that all you have to do is pay for fertilizer, and you have to go and pick it, and sometimes you have to trim things back. It's not that much work, and it's that much less lawn you have to mow. Because you're putting compost around the trees, and that cuts down on the grass. You don't have to mow anything. Uh, and where you live, because it grows so many things, I mean, you can grow all the citrus there, and bananas and like stuff you said, pineapples. That, that stuff just geometrically geometrically progresses within a couple of years, and you're actually having to cut it back. It's not
The
how you don't have
difficulty
enough.
I have found, the main difficulty isn't how quickly things grow. I've tried growing things a couple times. It's that either bugs get it, and then you're back to the spot of putting something on there that isn't clean, or they just die because of the soil quality. It seemed, particularly at the last house I lived at, I think that must have been like a swamp or some shit. It was just, the dirt was just terrible.
And also in certain areas where we've lived, the water table is about 8 inches below the ground, and you end up with a lot of plants, a lot of trees and stuff with wet feet, and some fruit trees don't like that. So you have to build them up a little bit. When you initially plant them, you you add a bunch of compost to soil and build a plant above the ground so that it's not constant, its roots aren't constantly wet. And like bananas don't care. Like I've actually grown bananas in a pot, and then I put another pot around it and filled it up with water, and I grew them like that, and it grew great. It loves bananas. You can just sit them in a pond; they'll grow. But other things like citrus, they don't like being wet all the time. The reason they grew so well in Florida is because the soil drains so quickly, um, and they sort of liked it. But they like what they like most is oak compost, because I guess back where they came from, the citrus grew up in the mountains with around oak trees. So a lot of these citrus diseases were cured when they put oak compost around their citrus trees. Except when you have a million acres of oranges, you can't. There's not enough oak trees out there to find the compost to put around them, and so that's not going to work. But anyways, the biggest thing is you want to put in perennial trees and bushes like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, um, nut trees. Up here we can grow nut trees. I don't think you can grow any nut trees in Central Florida. It's not. It's too warm. Like pecans. Like
That's
this
why
is one of
the plan is to go to Puerto Rico where you can grow everything. It's got
and
10,000
here,
things you can grow.
matter of fact, three quarters of Pensacola used to be pecan plantations. And so when you go around here, there's just thousands and thousands of old pecan trees at 100 feet high,
Mm.
all over the place, dropping pecans everywhere. No one eats them because oh, it's just another pecan tree. You know, I love pecans.
Not me. I love pecan pie. Pecan anything,
I mean,
actually, but
they're the best nuts for you.
didn't know that.
So,
Love pecans.
well, walnuts can have a toxin in them if they're grown in an area that they're competing against other trees. So you have to always be careful. You can eat too much walnuts and it'll make you sick. Um,
Mm.
Walnuts will also kill off a lot of other plants, or because they put a toxin in the soil. And but pecans don't do that. Oaks do it a little bit too, but not to the extent that walnuts do. I don't know if you've ever seen walnut wood. It's amazing. I mean, I lived in Virginia for a while, and in Tennessee, in those areas where they have just native walnuts growing all over the place. And I was fortunate enough that I got a when I was in between jobs, this guy called me up because help me move all this wood out of this old guy's wood shop. And he must have had 20,000 pounds or more of walnut that was 100 years old, and it was just the most amazing stuff you've ever seen when it's finished.
I seen a tree that I couldn't even believe it was real, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was some AI shit. But I seen this guy, and he was working, and it was a reddish tree. But when he cut into it, it was blood red. You need to try to find it. I have it. It was absolutely fucking gorgeous. I've never seen wood like this, ever. and they said it was rare wood, but it was a short, and there wasn't a lot of information on it, but it looked like a hardwood because of how, and it had a very fine pattern in it, and it was just fucking amazing looking. I couldn't, it was like the first
Yeah,
time I was like, go ahead.
tropical hardwoods are just amazing looking, and some of them don't rot. And they have some tropical hardwoods that you can actually just put in the ground in Florida for 100 years and nothing will touch them. It's better than, it breaks down less than concrete. Stuff's expensive too, but once you build it, it's built. You don't have to worry about it. It's so good that people have built their porches and stuff out of it, and they go to tear the house down, they go back and get the wood from their porch because the stuff never. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it before, and I've seen these videos of sawmills like in Indonesia and stuff cutting these things, and they're just amazing.
I'm asking ChatGPT just to see if there's.
And tell them it's because you want to save the planet.
It thinks it's called bloodwood. It's literally called bloodwood, which is what it looked like. It was like they were hacking open a.
Is it?
It was
Yeah, it's a tropical hardwood.
It's bright red, vivid red wood with dark areas in it, and it has a very kind of tight. It supposedly you can get it in Central America, Brazil, Peru, Venezuela, Colombia, and French Guinea.
The reason they call it bloodwood too is also when you cut it, the tree, it bleeds. It's pretty. I just seen some pictures of it. Yes, it bleeds red like blood. It's crazy. I'll put it up here real quick. But this is a young one, but the older ones are red in the middle. The core wood is red, but I can show you a young one when they cut it, what it looks like. Okay. That's not a good one. Let's not do that one. Okay. Oh, that's.
Yeah, they were doing woodworking with it, and it was stunning.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen real quick.
Oh, we got some guests in here. Oh, Mark is suggesting concerns about basically with your forest idea. I'll see if I can make it bigger.
But when they cut into it, it looks like human blood.
Yes, the sap is very juicy. But he's saying, to beware of HOAs. Yes, but I actually heard that DeSantis might be getting rid of HOAs. I mean, he's on a tear. He's going to get rid of, he's going to make it so you actually own your house again.
See, the problem with HOAs, and yes, you have to be aware of them, but basically what happens is at the end of the day, the contractor, the general developer, will still have a large percentage of those properties, and they never sell them. They'll like rent them and stuff, and they keep control of the HOA until their warranty is up. And then once the warranty is up, then they dump all the properties. So that's the problem with the HOAs, is that the general contractor, or not the contractor, but the developer, takes control of everything, so you can't even go after them for anything. And it's sort of it's sickening. So I'm not a big fan of HOAs. The reason I learned that is when I was in the mold business and hurricane restoration business, I deal with the HOAs, and they were almost new ones are almost always controlled by the developer. They just put everybody on the board, and it was just
yeah, yeah, it's something you're seeing a lot of, where the HOAs have too much power and you get these big mega communities. I've heard a lot about Lakewood Ranch and that being an issue.
it becomes communism. Becomes what we call, you know how us freedom-minded people like to call ourselves a democratic republic rather than a democracy. It becomes a democracy, and most of the votes are held by the people who develop the property. So you have no say.
Or worse, it degenerates into that it's a democracy.
Canadians owning it. Yeah, Canadians own it.
And yes, or no one that lives there. I mean, that's the problem with my neighborhood, is the homeowners just don't even show up. They live in here. I used to go to the homeowners association meetings here, the first 3 years I was here, and it would be me and one other guy. There's 200 units in here.
So most of them are absentee owners.
Yeah, this place is kind of a shithole. It's a little better than it used to be, but yeah, it and you have no rights in here really, and so
basically you have all the responsibilities of owning it and all the downsides of leasing. Is that about right?
Yes, it's about correct. Mark says he's seen very similar things. Mark, you don't own this place, do you? You're a renter. He's saying it's his shithole. It's not your shithole. You're just renting this shithole. But
it's better to rent a shithole than to own it.
Yes.
Well,
anyways.
Yeah, I had 2 properties recently, and neither one of them I own anymore. So
that's how it goes. Anyways, you got more on this, or are we just gonna stare at this wood?
No, the benefits, of course, is that your food's cleaner, it has more nutritional value. That's if you're a halfway decent farmer. You don't have to be a great one. And the produce in the grocery stores. Back 20 years ago, I used to work part-time job at a produce section. Some of them are sprayed with upwards of 15 different chemicals to stop them from rotting.
So I seen a thing where a guy, he was testing his beef, which was pasture raised, grass fed, grass finished, versus something that you buy at Publix. And it was a lab test where they tested for nutrition, and his beef had 200% the amount of healthy nutritional things in it. It was a whole panel of stuff, but on average, 2.5 times what the.
Well, first of all, it's going to have better fat in it to begin with. It's going to have better fat. It's going to have more vitamins.
Cows are just not designed to eat corn, and that's what the feed is. It's, as you said, it's shitty corn that doesn't rot and doesn't have any nutritional value. And when cows are out in the field eating grass, they're eating bugs, they're eating a bunch of, and as long as you're not shitting on the grass with some sort of chemicals, it's there's just a tremendous amount of the weeds, like the variety of weeds that might be in a pasture. All of that is going to have different chemical profiles and, let's say, nutrition for the cows, that is going to add nutrition to the meat. If cows just eat corn,
let's put it this way: back during the initial when the Mayflower came over, and they colonized, Massachusetts. They started raising their own corn and eating their own corn, and they all got sick from vitamin deficiencies because corn that doesn't have lye in it or alkali, you can't digest it and you can't absorb any vitamins out of it. So these people were dying of vitamin deficiencies when they had plenty of food. So the Indians told them, well, you have to process it with this so that you don't get sick from eating it. And they're not doing that to the cattle. They're just feeding them corn
Right.
and soybeans. And soybeans, um, they've proven it. Oh, I mean, 10 years, not 10 years, or 20 years ago, they banned farmers from feeding soybeans to cows because it made the cows and the pigs sterile within 2 generations. Sterile. And they were sick. Now all of a sudden, soybeans are good for you.
Yes, and you can't look at anything without having soy in it. But
Do you
you
know
need to
why
convert
we
yourself
have
back to your
soybeans?
regular picture.
Yes, because
Oh, we
you've looked at that wood long enough, I assume.
yes, the
Yes,
big
the
red blob.
and the so just this, just looking at that stuff, it's just sick. The soybeans. The reason we have soybeans is because it's cheaper to grow soybeans in the soil than it is to buy fertilizer, and put nitrogen back in the soil because soybeans fix nitrogen, and they add nitrogen to the soil, and the plants need it. So rather than just adding more fertilizer and growing more corn, what they do is they plant soybeans, and then they found a market for the soybeans. And the reason they grow corn is because they want to make ethanol, which is a waste of soil again. Ethanol is stupid. It's a low energy fuel. You have to use nearly twice as much of it to get the same amount of energy as gasoline. And we have plenty of oil that's buried from plants already that has its higher density energy. So growing corn to make alcohol is a retarded move. And then
We
that's
should
what
do a
causes.
show on being pro global warming. We should do a show on
Yes.
that one.
I mean, really, do the Scandinavians, do you think they'd mind if it got 10 degrees warmer for them in the winter?
No, we want to have global warming and increase the pressure so that the whole planet is a what's some fucking chambers called, hyperbaric
Hyperbolic,
chamber.
hyperbaric chamber, hyperbole chamber.
Uh, yeah, so that our chickens are carnivorous 300-foot tall beasts.
I had the good old days
I
back when T Rex was a chicken.
I miss T-Rex. Anyways, just for expedience sake, I'd like to jump to the next thing.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. So the next way that you can, if you have crypto, is you can farm yield from lending. And so when it comes to decentralized borrowing and lending, there are basically two names that have become synonymous, and there's others, but these are the longest running and most stable, and they have had the least controversy, and that is Aave, and that's spelled AAVE, and Compound. Together, they represent tens of billions of dollars in lock value. Aave has over 30 billion in TVL. Leads the cross-chain support. It has flash loans. It's considered a very transparent platform, and Compound, originally Ethereum only, has expanded with Comet upgrades. Both power the decentralized credit market, and so you can basically get loans through DeFi channels with no credit check. And you just have to have the kind of collateral they like. And so, like I said, Aave is the largest DeFi lender protocol. And so when I say a protocol, what I mean is these are automated systems. If you, it's not, there's some gray area. There isn't some guy in there that's got to take a cut. The it's sort of like the internet. It just functions based on math and these smart contracts. And if you meet the criteria, you get the loan. If there's no funny business there. And so Aave is the largest DeFi lending protocol with 30 billion in loans basically out there. Compound, which is actually older, has about 3 billion in loans locked. Both enable lending assets and borrowing against the assets. So you can lend your stuff and earn a yield, or you can borrow and buy stuff with the borrowed money. Yields and borrowing costs vary, but are based on utility. Aave supports multi-chain, which is Ethereum, Base, which is Coinbase's money, Polygon, BNB, which is Binance, and Avalanche. So you can use those Ethereum as collateral or whatever. Compound used to be Ethereum only, but I guess Comet is a upgrade, which is a multi-chain. It's a smart contract that's a multi-chain. I don't know the reciprocal chains that it's associated with. It's gone through the Biden era choke point 2.0, and so its revenue is considered very transparent. Its fees are very competitive, and it's survived multiple up and downs. So it's got historical precedent, I guess. And so how it works basically is if you wanted to do something, you have to have obviously your own crypto wallet, and that could be MetaMask, Ledger, Coinbase's wallets, and there's whatever wallet. I don't know if there's any limits on wallets. You would visit Aave.com or Compound Finance, which is the compound.finance is actually the URL. You would supply your asset like USDC or ETH. So USDC is a stable coin. So basically you could have a cash equivalent or ETH, and then you would, if you wanted to make a deposit of $1,000, you can earn on Aave between 3 and 5% on that money, for depending on which one it is. If you wanted also to get a loan, you would let me read this. Yes. Again, if you wanted to borrow, the only way you can borrow is if you use a stable coin. So you would put stable coin down, and then you could borrow to get whatever crypto you wanted. So it's a theory. You're not using you're just putting it as collateral. It's still in an account. You technically still have it, but you're not. It's like locked. I don't know the advantage there. I'm mostly interested in yield farming, so I don't really focus on that. But you can repay loans whenever you want. I think that you can get them levered. I'm not sure. And withdraw. You can withdraw your original collateral at basically any time. They're very liquid. So some of the use cases that I came up with are crypto savings account. By parking stablecoin, you can earn a passive APY. You can keep your ETH exposure while borrowing stablecoin to pay everyday expenses. I think the other place is a little better. There's the arbitrage opportunity. You can borrow at 6% and redeploy and form another earning 15%. So you can pocket the spread. And you can operate cross-chain strategies like running positions on Ethereum, Base, Polygon, whatever. There's whatever, and there's these things go up and down at different rates. And again, it's essentially playing the spread. And so, mostly what I would think is if you had a lot of money, you'd either want to make a loan to yourself, or just park it if you had a significant amount of crypto and just earn a yield on the what you have instead of just letting it sit there. The downside to these things always, though, is if you're parking it in a spot that's not your wallet, is there's always a risk, not your coin, not your keys, not your coin, and so, which is technically true for the banks. I mean, if you have a bunch of money in the bank and it's not in some asset you control, it's not really your money, and that's true here. I and many other people have had experiences with crypto products that these crypto vehicles, that they just go tits up, and there's no recourse. And so I would never put a lot into them, but if you were doing something short term, 6 months, a year, and you could come up with a strategy. Like right now, if you borrowed against your crypto to buy more crypto, it might be advantageous if you think it's going to go up, and you pay back out of the earnings the loan. And so you buy Bitcoin, it triples in value. You pay back, 30% of it goes back to the company. You keep the other 2/3. That's a typical strategy. But I technically, if I was going to, out of these various assets, I was looking into it for myself. I actually will. The People's Reserve actually seems like it has a more interesting asset, or not asset, I guess, vehicle ideas. I think you would make more money on a bond that got 20% of the invested value back as Bitcoin plus your principal. So I don't know, but that's what I got on that one. Do you have any, Tony? You got any feedback on yield farming? You have no audio. I hope you weren't talking before. I can hear you now.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It just did something on its own again. It's good like that.
That powerful
But
PC you have.
I'll give you an example of using leverage. It's risky, but if you have, say, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and you get a loan for $1,000, and then you have $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now that doubles to $4,000, but you really only borrowed one. So then the benefit to that, if you're a risk taker, is then you can actually borrow money against the earnings that you just made from the increase in value. So you'll be able to borrow another, say, $1,000 on that, and give you even more leverage. And so that's basically what Michael Saylor's doing. As soon as it goes up in value, he's borrowed to get that, and then the increase he's borrowing against the increase too. So really, he's getting if it doubles, he's not getting 200%. He's getting 300% returns. So it's it's something to think about.
A lot
But
of the
it's risky.
money is also usable. So Aave or whatever. If you borrow money, you can put it into option trading, and
Hmm.
some of the leverage is 100x.
Yes,
And so,
options are,
and
can
so
be even more than that.
you can go in there and you borrow $1,000 against your money, and you 5x it, and you have the potential to make tremendous gains. I've never had the courage to do anything like that.
Okay, let me ask you this. You were talking about sometime every Friday, just about, not always, but most Fridays, a lot of the professionals sell off for the weekend.
Seems like it.
About what time? What time of the day does that normally happen?
I I always notice that it's like when I wake up, as soon as it like hits, opens up, it seems like everybody starts selling off. Like if you notice, I would say Friday at 9:30 a.m. As soon as
So
the big
you'd want to get out of that position before Friday 9:30 in the morning,
right.
and then it dumps until when?
Well,
The end
this
of the
week,
day.
this week it's been dumping since Friday. It's been straight
Okay,
down.
but I'm saying normally I'm
It
not
seems
talking
like
about
it'll
a
start to
market speed.
recover over the weekend. Like it'll dump all day Friday, and then sometime Saturday night it'll bottom out, and then it'll start climbing out. Um, but it can shit the bed on Monday mornings a little bit, so you have to be careful. But I always thought about if I was going to take advantage of that cycle, um, particularly if I thought there was good news coming out over the next week. And usually you can tell if it's kind of a weak recovery, like it's at 125, it drops down, and then it barely recovers, over the weekend. It seems like that sets it up to be a weak week. And there'll be sometimes that it'll shit the bed, and then I definitely feel like the end of the month is always the weakest. Um, but
And what are the like triple witching hours? So they have some of those exchange traded funds have futures on them that have to be renewed monthly, or is it every 3 months or quarterly? You know what I'm talking about?
yes, I think I think that option trading, I think it's like all of those things for crypto. Like
Okay, because
there's like ultra
they used to have
shorts,
them, yeah,
and
shorts, and they had the quarterly ones, and then they had the ones that went on forever.
right.
They just keep yeah.
And
Um,
but I actually even think there's like daily options.
hmm.
Because everything that whatever you can do, I don't know. I would have to look into that. I'll look into that because I am not an option. I've been terrorized by option trading. As you know, I did it for a little while, and then the Iraq War started, and like I was up like 30 grand, and I lost it like overnight. Went to bed. I'm so rich. Woke up. Holy smokes!
Yeah, well, buying options are not that risky. Selling them is super risky. Yeah, futures are horribly risky. I mean, I traded oil futures before, and I was on the right side of the trade, and I was about to make $1 million, and it just did one little hiccup and had a black swan event for 10 minutes and wiped me out. And then it
And
recovered and went back up to where I would have made $10 million. So I went from so that haunts me. So I'm never going to touch futures ever again because it's a fool's game unless you do futures with very little leverage. I
right,
mean, if you're doing it with high leverage, they'll just move the market around to
wash out.
wash out. Yeah, on
Yes,
purpose.
yes.
It's not that they were going after me; they were going after all the retail customers. And remember,
And
the brokerage house, your brokerage house is taking the opposite side of your trade. So they're not hoping that you win. Remember that when you're in these big brokerage houses and you're leveraged with them, who's taking the other side of the trade? Someone always has to. It's
Dad always
them.
said he
So
wanted
they
to sell puts. All he wanted to do was sell puts.
Selling anything, when you're selling options, you have infinite amounts of loss. And the only thing you can gain is the income from your initial contract. That sounds like a recipe for suicide.
Well, you can put stop losses in.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. When the market swings heavy, they ignore you, and it just blows right by your stop losses. That's what happened to me. I was in those. I just had a few contracts. They're $10,000 each, and I didn't have a lot of money at that time. I was investing maybe 30 grand or something, and I put all the stop losses in, and it just blew right by them like they weren't there, and I just ignored it, and it bankrupted me. And I called them. I go, why didn't you? Well, when the market's moving quickly, all we care about is our big wholesale customers, not you.
Well, the good thing about this stuff is it's protocol based. There's nobody determining that.
There's no one going, oh, we don't like you, so we're not going to fulfill your
yes,
contract.
that it gets filled based on the order.
So all these poor people that were listening to taking these courses on how to trade, and all you got to do is put in your stop losses. They're being lied to. No, that isn't all you got to do, because unless you're one of the big brokerage houses and you have access to direct trading, they're just going to overlook your 30 grand, and they're going to save the people who have $1 billion in it. They don't care about you. That's why the Bitcoin thing and DeFi and all the what do you call those automatic contracts
Smart
that
contract.
can't be, the smart contracts is the way to go, because then they can't put their finger on a scale and say, well, we don't think you should get any money. And that's what they do.
That's the main thing here is
my neck.
If you are there's always risk. You can always get fucked. But with all of these Wall Street vehicles, there's a man ultimately in that trade that is
executing your thing on the floor, going like this.
And it's a 3 million-year-old yes, and even if it is automatic trading, there's a human that's running the business who is looking at the bottom line for his business, and he can just tweak the software to do X, Y, and Z. In theory, with these smart contracts, once you execute the contract and you're involved in the contract, there's no stopping it, and so there's nobody that can stop it either way. So if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. And there isn't a human being in there that's going to favor some rich guy over you. If you're in early, you're in early. And I haven't done it because much for the same reason. And levering up and all that stuff, you can get rich. Like there's this guy who he's a bit of a gambler, and he used to be in the crypto market. He was the #1 crypto YouTube guy. His name was called BitBoy.
Yeah. BitBoy. I used to watch.
Okay, and he was doing quite well, and I guess he made a ton of cash. He was doing a lot of leverage trading, and I guess the market rolled over on him one day, and basically he lost everything in one day. And you went from being having 10 or 15 million dollars to basically losing everything, including his business. He had a Lamborghini and all that stuff, and now he's in jail. He was doing pump and dumps, and he didn't have any money to defend himself. And he's now literally he went from 2-3 years ago from telling everyone, from his golden, he had a mansion, the McMansion and the Lamborghini and the Dodge Hellcat and all of that stuff to like literally he got arrested
And
lying
all
on the.
his yeah, and all his weirdo lefty friends that worked with him. Yeah. Yep. I watched the show, and eventually it just got to the point. Well, look at me. I'm in my Lambo. I Lamboed up. Yeah. Okay.
And now he's and he had his OnlyFans
Now
mistress.
he's Lamboing it up with Bubba
Yes.
in the penitentiary.
So, do you have a second story?
Uh, Not really. I was going to cover some technical thing about life extension, but um, I think the because I don't want to get into any politics today. There's too much stuff going on. Uh, the trade deals and everything going on, and the wars going on. Until those things are resolved, it's almost not even worth talking about them. How they're going to affect the economy. Um, I haven't seen everyone's talking about the trade deals and everything, but as far as I'm concerned, because I'm out here in the real world, it hasn't affected me one bit. Either way, prices haven't gone up or gone down. Nothing's gotten better or worse. It's just the same. It's a lot of coverage of it, a lot of talking about it, but I don't see any improvement. Until it gets to the street level, it doesn't mean anything to me. You know, we have $10 trillion of money coming into this country. Till I see those factories built, it doesn't matter to me.
I agree.
I'm glad that
I agree.
they're going to be uh, cracking down on the cities. The cities are just communist hellholes, and they keep them that way, and they keep all the young people committing crimes because, as we said earlier, they're basically the retail end of the drug dealing cartels. So they're using the underage kids and not prosecuting them so they can continue to uh, prosecute their drug trade. Um, so that's why nothing happened to it, because the Democrats were profiteering off of that. Besides getting illegal aliens here, getting the youth in the cities to sell drugs for the cartels, and they're all end up in the pockets of the politicians. That's why they're fighting so hard now to make sure that the crime doesn't go down in the cities, because that's the salespeople.
Yeah, well, it's the salespeople, and it also gives them something to point to say how capitalism and all that stuff fails, and the gap, and between the rich and the poor. If there isn't a problem to fix for a perpetual problem, something actually gets resolved. What do they have to be race baiting about? Um, what does AOC get to sell politically if all of a sudden there's fairness and prosperity, and you can go outside your house and you can have a car and it's not going to get trashed, and you're not going to have your yard all beat up and that kind of stuff? If there's a fair living condition for people, then they don't vote Democrat. They don't vote commie. They only vote commie because there is an obvious gap between how the rich and the poor live. And the number one thing is safety. If you live in a safe area and you can enjoy where you live, you have a much more you're much more likely to be happy, and if you feel happy, then you have the opportunity to be prosperous. And that's what Trump is trying to give to people, I think. And um, so we'll see. I mean, he has to succeed at it, but I think
Yeah,
that's
we'll see.
um,
It's and it really looks strange for Canada. It looks like they're going to lose their western provinces. It doesn't look good at all.
yeah, I
From what
agree.
I hear, we have already negotiated with them. If they break away, that we'll back their statehood. Um, Not just for the United States, but even if they want to be an independent country, we'll recognize them immediately. And so that's you know gives them definitely more leverage to negotiate with Ottawa, and So if they do want to stay, they have to take them serious now. But if they do
And
vote to separate, I don't think they want to stay. Is the problem? It's the East is so communist, and the West is so you know production based. They just can't get along. One is
what
just
if
a
what if New England joins Canada?
that would be great. Even though I grew up in New England and I have a lot of friends that live up there, it is a great communist North. Um, a lot of those people have conservative values, but they vote
Well, at least
Democrat.
if we
They just vote
believe the voting
Democrat because
machines.
they vote Democrat because their daddy voted Democrat and their grandma did. Um, they hate guns, a lot of them. I grew up there, so I can say that, and they think that guns kill people. Uh, they don't. You can lay a gun on the ground, doesn't kill a single person.
It's like a knife doesn't kill
No
people.
more than that's like saying an axe. An axe kills people. If, as George Carlin said, what if you have these big, huge, fucking hands that you can strangle people with? Do they chop them off or what?
Speaking of axes, did you see on X the little girl? She's about 10. The immigrant tried to attack her, and she pulled out an axe on him.
It was even braver than that. They tried to attack her friend, and she pulled out an axe and a knife on them to protect her friend. She's a brave girl. She's the only brave person in all of Great Britain.
No, I think there's more. Wasn't it Scotland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Scots are
the Highlands.
In a terrible position. I don't know what happened to them, but they became communists. And well, it looks. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. They were brave, powerful, strong people.
I think that much like we were turning communists. Is it that we were turning communists, or was the propaganda machine and the rigged voting machines convincing everybody? And so, because they didn't want to be left out or canceled, people just shut up. I don't know.
We don't know. We won't know until things change, and then it'll all be,
hopefully
all will be revealed, to quote Led Zeppelin.
So I do want to I have another thing, but instead I just want to throw out and discuss a little bit about what we're thinking about as our changing format. A little bit is we've gotten a little feedback from our UAP show, and that feedback is that people liked that we stayed on one topic for the whole show, and then tackled it from multiple points of view, that we broke it down. And the exact feedback is that we broke it down into 3 areas and then debated the validity of the areas, and we both took different positions, and they liked that. I also enjoyed that more because it was more interactive for me. I enjoyed the back and forth that you and I had. And so, we talked a little bit about it off camera, but how do you feel about picking a subject show to show, and then just, instead of you doing your thing and me doing my thing, that we actually do one thing and we bring our opinions to it and discuss it?
Well, in an hour and a half show, we could pick one topic and cover it thoroughly and from different angles, and it would be a better show. I think we're sort of skimming over these things too quickly, the way we're going at it now.
Yes, and we've gotten the feedback that people don't understand it.
Yeah, so it's we're assuming that people have a level of knowledge in some of these topics that they don't, and it can't be covered quickly enough in that short period of time.
Yeah, so we're starting at the top and then going up from there. And what was said specifically is that in the UAP show is that we took the position of explaining it from the beginning of all the different views on it, um, and then progressing through all of the various um, ideas around the subject, and that
And there's still many more that we didn't cover. So that is we could just cover one show on. I mean,
there's a
basically, you
lot of
just
topics out there. There's a lot of
the
topics.
Tic Tacs alone, or the flying saucer technology, and uh, you know, multi-dimensional beings. All those things can be one show,
Underground
and then we would
bases,
underground basis. Yeah,
breakaway societies.
yeah, like Elon Musk. Elon, everything. If you look at everything that Elon's doing, has nothing to do with us. All those things that he's engineering are just for Mars. Tunnel boring, electrical vehicles, so on and so forth. AI, robots, those are all to colonize Mars with. That's his plan. If you look at it otherwise, his business model doesn't make any sense. So, why does he need the tunneling stuff here? He doesn't need it. Uh, Obviously, the electric vehicles were their limited market. So
Yeah,
it's not.
unless you're concerned about not having fossil fuels on another planet.
There's not going to be any. Yes, so there's plenty of room there, and there's no shade. So photovoltaic is the best way to go. I mean, you couldn't put in wind turbines or windmills, as Donald Trump calls them, uh, because the atmosphere isn't thick enough, and it just wouldn't work. So so they're going to have to live underground there. That's why he wants to. I don't know how he's going to get the boring machines there. I mean, he's going to have to build some big freaking rockets, man.
Oh, I think I think he could put the boring machines in the current rocket. They bring 200 tons to. Supposedly their capacity is 200 tons.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. You'll have to make several trips because those things are heavy. But anyways, that's what he'd need, and he'd need a photovoltaic, and you need robots to help him, and things like that. Because I mean, how else are you going to do it?
well, I would imagine that you could build a starship with a nuclear power plant in it, and that's all it's for, is to deliver the. I mean, you could have
Get near planet orbit and drop stuff off and then go back. I
well, I
mean,
think
yeah,
he
you
would
can.
land. I think he would use the starship as the facility for, like, he would build it in so that once it's landed there, that he just set up shop around the nuclear power plant. Is what I would do, because I hear you can put them in a vehicle that's the size of a tractor trailer. That if he can put 200 tons up, what is a tractor trailer? 20 tons.
Mhm.
So he could have, like, what are they called? The molten thorium reactor. They're uh, like, they're supposed to be small, very small. Like, and so he
Yeah,
sets
and they're
up.
already talking about cold fusion, so we'll see if that works or not. That is that's a much better technology because it doesn't create as much radiation. So
Yeah, you think they'll do it? Who's talking about it? They've
uh,
been talking about it for decades.
they're claiming they're getting close to it, but they've been, okay, as you said, they've claimed that for 20 years.
They probably have done it, and they just don't. That's probably one of the technologies that they just don't tell us about. One of the exotic energy sources that they, and it would, if you think about it, because my understanding of fusion is that it's based on very powerful magnets. If you then look at the technology that's supposedly around all these UFOs, that's also um, very much so. Speaking of farming on Mars, they would have to use hydroponics to grow their food. Yes, they would. And it's got much less sunlight there, and so they would have to do everything, like underground with UV lights. I honestly don't. I don't see the appeal to living there. I think it's I can see building a base there, just for exploration points of view. But his idea of building a civilization there, who wants to fucking live underground forever? Forever.
I mean, it'll never have an atmosphere heavy enough to support life. It's it doesn't have as much. It's nearly as large as the Earth, but its mass is less. It has less dense a core, so it can't hold as much of an atmosphere, and that's why it's is in the state it's in now without an atmosphere. It's even if you terraformed it and released oxygen through all the, you can see there's all this rust on the surface. That's basically oxygen and iron
Iron. Yeah.
together. Yeah, and you could use biology such as certain types of bacteria to release that. It would just blow away. It wouldn't stay, and because it's not enough gravity there. Um, I just don't see it. It's a pipe dream, and it's a silly dream. And even if he accomplishes getting there, and he gets in the record books being the first one there, it's going to be a disaster eventually. Uh,
Yeah, I don't see how you get to.
logistically supplying the place will be almost impossible because he's going to have to get supplies for the first 50 years, um, all the time. They don't have enough water.
Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. I think I've seen people argue that the problem with Mars's atmosphere wasn't that it can't support an atmosphere, that something happened that and I've seen the thing that the solar wind blew it off and the gravity's too low. I've seen that argument, but I've also seen people argue that it was a massive asteroid strike, which is why the planet is on a tilt, and that the strike was so bad that it actually blew off half the crust, and with that, the ocean and the atmosphere. I don't know if that's true. I've seen
You think
people.
the gravity of the object would pull that stuff back in, but
It it was supposedly it was a um so the argument that I've seen is that the asteroid belt was a planet, and that basically, like, that a big chunk of that planet, which was a super Earth, and a super Earth that actually had living things on it, got struck by some sort of humongous asteroid, and it destroyed the planet. It was a rogue planetoid. It was like a Mars sized object that hit a object that was like 2 or 3 times the size of Earth, and it blew the planet to bits. And a big chunk hit Mars, and that's why it's on a tilt. And it just, like, it fucked the planet up horrifically, and that it was a grazing blow, and that it took everything with it, and maybe exited it could be still circling around. um I don't know. But that was the I'll see if I can find that video. I've seen it a couple of times, but it's a very well thought out, because it describes why there's so many weird anomalies all at once. It was a big object that flew through the um, entire solar system, which is why certain planets are spinning backwards, because they had close calls and the gravitational force of this thing coming in. And part of it wasn't just a rogue planet; it was a rogue red dwarf, and it had its own planet. So one of the planets hit this other planet that is now the asteroid belt, because it
okay.
looks like there should be a planet where the asteroid belt is. That's where a planet should be, and we have that huge asteroid belt. So it's an interesting theory, and the guy has a lot of evidence for it. Like he blames that's why Venus is spinning backwards, and that's why I don't know if it's Neptune or something, but one of the other planets is actually got a reversed rotation. It's because some of those planets from the red dwarf were captured by us, and that they were actually on the red dwarf. They were actually spinning the other way, and it disrupted everything in our solar system. And so I don't know. But the point is that I've seen things that said that Mars used to have a biosphere, and that it was partially removed, like 75% of the atmosphere was sucked away when it lost not only the atmosphere, but the ocean got sucked away with it. It got,
Mm-hmm.
But, we'll save that. We'll, you know what? We'll do a show on it.
Okay.
Anyways, before you go, let's pick our next topic, because you're kind of hard to get a hold of during the week. For Friday, I picked the last one. Why don't you pick this one? And you have a hot topic you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I think we should cover, because there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of evidence for transdimensional beings. I think that would be a good show.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that I think Jesus is a transdimensional being.
Okay, well,
that's how he's going to come back.
That sounds reasonable to me.
That's how he's coming back. He just leaked time frames. It's only been a couple of days for him.
That's true. That's true. He's, doesn't have the same perspective we do.
So, anyways, so transdimensional beings on Friday, apparently.
Sounds good.
All right. Anyways, yeah, I don't know.
Bring your receipts.
Yeah, I'll definitely. You know me, man. I'll be looking into this shit like it's no tomorrow.
Yeah, no. Good. That's what we want. We want people to like the show. So.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon. Good night.